Hey everybody, it's John with 2A Talking Tactical. I hope you all are having a great week. It is almost Friday. It is August the 1st, 2024. So, I know sometimes I sound like a broken record when I apologize for being vacant. Uh, but the last several months, uh, I'm having my ass handed to me. So, when I started this podcast or whatever it is you want to call it, I told myself, and I think I even told a couple of you all that I was going to keep it to a strictly to a related. Um, so in this podcast, I'm gonna uphold that promise, but then I'm gonna veer off, and I think most of you will understand, especially if you're in the 2A family, 2A community, whatever the case may be, however you want to word it. Uh, I have no plan for this, so I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know where it's going to go. It's just me with random thoughts. Um, I'm going to open up a little bit to you all. Um, Hopefully, some of it's not too much information, but when it's all said and done, if you can go back and take something from it, good or bad, um, then I'm okay with that. Uh, I've always been of the opinion we do not have to agree on everything, but I do respect the fact that we all have opinions on different things, and we should all be able to express our feelings and talk about things that are bothering us. Uh, I am never, and nor have I ever, criticized somebody on the way that they feel, whether it be towards me, if it's something I said or done, somebody brought it to my attention. I don't know that I have ever said, well, you shouldn't feel that way or that's unjustified. I've always tried to look at it from an open point of view and try to put myself in that person's shoes and reverse the role, so to speak, and kind of like setting what I meant to say or what I was trying to relay aside and just taking the words that I actually said, how it could have been perceived. You can ask my ex wife. I've never been the best at relaying messages. I always try to get my message across, but also try not to hurt people's feelings. I am 54 years old. It used to be really, really bad. I hated hurting people's feelings. I hated making people mad. I would often agree when, in fact, I wanted to disagree. I've um, I've been quiet when I should have spoken out, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. Uh, but by me not speaking out or me not talking about a certain thing, if it didn't work out in my favor, I only had one person to blame, and that was me. So, over the years, uh, I've learned a lot. Um, as I said, I'm gonna go a little personal into my life. So, I've been to, I'm on my second divorce. We've been divorced since 2000, or December of 21, I guess it was. Um, that was a whole different circumstance. I guess it was my fault. I'm not gonna lie. Nobody cheated on anybody. Nobody committed adultery or any of that. But I am responsible for that. My first divorce was not my fault. Um, I have always been the type of person to try to help out when and where I can, however I can. Um, I know everybody's different. Um, but I like to cook. I like to, don't necessarily like to clean, but I will clean. But I like doing laundry. I like vacuuming. I know that sounds dirty, but I like doing stuff like that. So, and I was working at the sheriff's office. Um, I was lucky enough to have the same schedule that um, my wife did at that time. She worked for a local police department, and I worked for the sheriff's office in the same county. And we were lucky enough to have the same schedule. I say lucky enough. Um, our days off were the same. Our work days were the same. Where she was on a regular schedule, like either a daytime schedule or a nighttime schedule. I was either working day or night. We worked the same days, but I mean, we may pass each other in the hall, and then we may be in the bed together at the same time. It just depended because we were on a 2 week day, 2 week night, and we worked 12 hours. She worked 12 hours, but she was either strictly on day or strictly on night. But anyway, um, I had finally gotten into doing what I love to do. And when I hurt my back in 2003, I ruptured a disc at T12L1, which was at a odd spot, according to my surgeon, my doctor. But that put me down for a while, and it put a lot of strain on her. At that point in time, I'd never been a medicine taker. I hate taking medicine. I still do. But the pain was so bad that, I had to have something. So they were trying to find the right pain medication to help me cope with my pain. But at the same time, as you all can imagine, it was having adverse effects on me. Uh, we had two small boys. One was born in 2005. Um, and 18 months later, we had another one. So they were little because um, this was in '03 when I originally hurt my back. But in 2009, I had a 4-year old and a 5.5-year old. Um, I re-injured my back in 2009. I re-injured uh, T12L1 and I ruptured T11, T12. So T12L1 was bone on bone, so he had to go in and do a fusion. That pain got unbearable. I do not regret getting that fusion. The way I look at it, I think it allowed me to work another year, which I was grateful for. But with the medication that I was on, I was working in communication, 12-hour shifts, sitting in a chair. Um, I was making some clerical mistakes that I shouldn't have been making, and I was worried about getting somebody hurt or killed. So, I talked to my supervisor and called my doctor and went in to see him. Luckily, the next day, and he said, "You know what, you're done." So I had to file for medical retirement, and that put uh, that put me in a real bad uh, state of depression. Um, I'm not going to lie, I had suicidal thoughts uh, early on because I was in so much pain. I was seeing my wife, work 12 hours a day and then come home and taking care of uh, a 4-year old and a 5.5-year old and doing what I was used to doing. The laundry, she had to pick up where I couldn't do those things, and I felt like I was a burden. Luckily, I talked to my family physician. I called him. I made myself drive, and he got me straightened out. But we went through a transition of I was always the active one, and she was kind of like a homebody, didn't want to go anywhere, do anything, which I was fine with. But she had underwent some weight loss surgery, and after she done that, um, I mean, she felt better, which I'm totally happy for her. Don't get me wrong. I think that was the best thing she ever done for herself. Um, so after she healed from the surgery, and then she had some plastic surgery done. That boosted her self confidence, which again I'm happy for. But I was in my slump. Uh, there were times that I remember, her getting ready to take the kids to daycare, or the babysitter, and them standing beside the bed telling me bye, and I was out of it because of the pain medication. I had no control over that. But I do remember that. She would come home, get things settled, fix dinner, and if I eat at all, I would eat in the bed. Uh, like, my depression was so bad. I didn't want to get out of bed. I couldn't get out of bed. I was hurting so bad. And she could not understand that. She did not understand at that point, and it was because I did not tell her, because I was scared of what may happen. With us both working in law enforcement, the last thing I wanted to do was mention to her that I was having suicidal thoughts. Um, so I kept that to myself. Well, I think now looking back, that kind of it didn't help matters any with our relationship. And I remember one night, she said, "We need to talk," and she's like, "You know what? We're totally disconnected. This can't go on." And I promised her that I would try to be more mindful of it and try to do better. Um, you know, 4 or 5 months went by. I think it was maybe 6. And I have to admit, I wasn't any better. So we split up, and it was a mutual split up. So anyway, we have our things that come at us in life that we really have no control over. When I see somebody now, especially if they're young, picking up wood, which is how I originally hurt my back, was picking up a tree that I had cut up with a chainsaw, and I was picking it up in the backyard. Had a little bit of a heel. It was a little bit of a heel, and I was picking it up and twisting. That's how I ruptured my disc. But now when I see somebody, lifting something heavy or picking something up, I just cringe. I literally cringe. And I may not know them. I may have only met them one time. But that's the first thing that comes out of my mouth. Please be careful with your back. Don't fuck your back up. Cause I never want anybody to go through what I went through. And I know people have, and I know people do. And I know there's people worse off than I am. So I try not to complain. But anyway, we split up. And then it was a while before I started dating again. Then I met somebody else, and we eventually got married. And then we had an incident that happened in Christmas night of 2018, when my stepson and his best friend were shot and killed 6 hours after I took him back to where he was living. So I guess I have struggled with that in my own way. There's some other issues going on with that case. I can't really talk about right now. But when we split up, I made her that promise that I would not give up, and that was December 26th of 2018 when it happened. But we split up, I think like the first or second week in January of 2019. But I made her that promise, and I've kept that promise. So still today. We're still working on it and all that. But I've looked back at what all cards we all have been dealt and how we've handled it, and I've learned a lot. I've learned not to do certain things, not to say certain things. Um, Maybe how to handle things by a different approach, different ways of talking to people. I now know what it's like to be a parent and to lose a child. While he was my stepson, I still loved him as my own. Um, but with everything going on today, the way our world is today, it I guess for a different reason, or maybe more so than it normally would have. Um, it makes me worried for the world we're living in today, for the kids um, that are still growing up today, that maybe adolescent, maybe preteen, teen, young adult, whatever the case may be. I worry about where are we going to be, um, in a few years. Hell, where are we going to be in another year? Let alone 10, 15, 20 years. Uh, it all worries me. And it is safe to say that I think we are more divided today than we have ever been. Um, I don't know what the root cause is. It seems like this all, you know, blew up around that 2018, 2019 time. We had a a man that had never really been in politics become our president. Um, Many have said he's not a politician, and I'm talking about Donald Trump. No, he's not a politician. Uh, Me personally, I think that's what we needed. Uh, many times when we see a change of the guard or a change in supervision, sometimes the companies will hire from the outside. They will not hire from within. Um, and I think that's kind of the way I look at that presidential election. Is we elected a president from the outside, so to speak. We did not hire somebody within, and within, what I mean is, somebody in Congress, a senator, um, somebody already known, well known in the political world. Yes, Donald Trump was well known for other reasons, but uh, again, personally, I think it was a good choice for many reasons. Um, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it now. I have not always agreed with everything that he has done. I've never uh, agreed with everything that he has said. But when I, in my mind, think about the pros and the cons, the pros far outweigh the cons, in my opinion. Um, and again, um, if you don't like where I'm at right now, click off of it. Go listen to music or whatever. And I say that respectfully. This is my opinion. Um, I don't know what to think about the election. I mean, we've heard different things. We heard it was stolen. We heard that it wasn't. Uh, I don't know. Uh, on the chance that it was, did he handle things correctly in getting it investigated? I don't know enough about it to make an educated opinion, but based on what I do know, no, he didn't. He could have handled that a better way. Um, but what do I know? I don't know what the process should have been versus, what he did. Um, the name of the podcast, pretty much sums up where I am on the Second Amendment. I am very pro 2A. I've always backed law enforcement. My dad was in law enforcement. I've got many friends that were in law enforcement way before I ever got in law enforcement. Of course, I gained a bunch of friends when I got into law enforcement. I've learned a lot. It really bothered me when the defund the police movement started, right around, the incident with George Floyd. I have my own opinion on that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. So I think uh, this movement was kind of like a great big ball that a lot of people got rolling. And when, let's just say for shits and giggles, you get a 20-ton lead ball rolling, and you get momentum behind it, it's hard as hell to stop it. To keep it rolling, you got to have people that keep pushing that ball. And when they see they're not getting anywhere, then they stop pushing. So that means that other people have to push harder. And when they say they're not getting anywhere and they're having to work harder, then they stop pushing. And eventually the ball stops rolling, or at least it slows down. And I think, and I don't have it in front of me, but I did do some research. The states that pushed for the defund the police movement were blue states. That's just a fact. You can deny it. You can agree. I don't really care. But they were blue states. When you, as a citizen, do not back the people that have your back, and let me stop and say this. Yes, there are bad apples everywhere. You've got bad apples in law enforcement. You've got bad apples in fire, in EMS. You've got bad apples in every public service organization you can think of. Every one of them. And a few make a lot look bad. I can honestly say with the agency that I was at, I never seen any of that. Did we have a good administration backing when I was there? No, absolutely not. Keep in mind, I'm gone now. My official retirement date was April of 2011, but we have a guy in now that, and I'll just put it out there. He is a Democrat. He ran as a Democrat, and he's a black male. He has a law enforcement background. He has DEA background, but he has changed that agency 180 degrees. I mean, there were people that I worked with that were ready, that were looking for another job. They were looking to go to another agency. I mean, the number of people calling in sick was astronomical. People did not want to work for the sheriff that was over our agency when I was there. And when this sheriff took over, he brought back our narcotics unit. He brought back our highway interdiction unit. He brought back a lot of things that our previous sheriff had gotten rid of. He told our deputies, go do your job. I've got your back. And, at that point in time, and even now, law enforcement officers are scared to go do their job unless they have actually seen the waters tested or have tested the waters themselves. There's apprehension, there's hesitation. And when you have apprehension and hesitation, that's going to get officers killed, and it has gotten officers killed because they don't know if they're going to be backed. This sheriff has turned that agency around. If I could go back and work for that agency now, I most certainly would, just to be under him. I've seen what he's done. My point in saying all this is, yes, I am a registered Republican. As far as I can remember back, I have always voted Republican. But I will tell you this, when the election comes back for sheriff of Forsyth County, uh, I will be voting for this guy. He's done a lot, and he's actually gotten out there and run the roads with the guys that he's in charge of. I've seen him do it. I've heard him do it on the scanner. He's out there, so that's nice to see. My point in all this is we don't always have to agree with everything a politician has to say or does. And I've had this saying for several years now. I don't care who you vote for, but know who you're voting for. Um, Vote for the person that is in that's going to stand behind you in whatever beliefs you have. Um, and one of my suggestions is write down on a piece of paper, what matters to you, and you're not to be judged. You don't have to tell anybody, but write down what matters to you. And in this case, look at what Donald Trump is for and what he's against. Look at hell, I guess this week, look at what Kamala Harris is for and what Kamala Harris is against. Um, I know the abortion issue is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. And I totally understand that. I respect everybody's opinion on that for whatever reason. If the situation presents itself, I listen to their argument. Personally, to be perfectly honest with you, I have kind of always steered away from that. Number one, because I'm not a woman. It doesn't affect me directly. So I stay out of it. I think the people that it affects directly, and maybe this is the wrong attitude to have, but I think all women should have a say in it. I think a male anybody has a right to have a say in it. Don't get me wrong, but especially a father to be, or somebody that, if you take the stance that, it's right or it's wrong, then vote for who you want to vote for. My point is that the abortion issue for me, is not at the top of my list. Is it on my list? Yeah, but it's not at the top of my list. I'm looking at what's going on our border. First and foremost, number one, what's going on at our border. I've had people argue with me that there's not an issue. Videos don't lie. And I told a female that a while back. I said, videos don't lie. There's an issue with that and with that alone. The other problem that comes on the back of that issue is the ungodly amount of illegal narcotics that is being brought into the U.S. by these people that are crossing the border illegally. I think the latest number I heard the other day was 2 million people. And I'm not here to argue that or, the number, but let's just say it's 2 million people. My rhetorical question to that is, well, how many of those 2 million people had narcotics on them, was smuggling them in? Where are they now? Um, we have a problem here in the U.S. Uh, you know, I forget the number now of the number of deaths that's been attributed to fentanyl poisoning, and it's ungodly. Different circumstances, but I know what it's like to lose a child. Um, it's heartbreaking. It's sad that these families that are having to go through this, uh, and you've seen our current administration. I, I mean, I hesitate on say not do anything, but I've not seen them do anything. I have not seen one thing that they have done. When you have Mayorkas going in front of and doing these congressional hearings and testifying before Congress, and he's being hammered on numbers, he's being hammered on facts, he's being hammered on this, he's being hammered on that, and he refuses to answer the fucking question and beat around the damn bush. Well, right there's your answer. Um, and people can say what they want to about that. I don't care. There's an issue. Our administration is covering it up. They don't want to admit that they screwed up. I think Biden done away with what Trump had going on just because of who the hell Trump was. He stopped it. It had Trump's name on it, and he stopped it. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. And this is what it's caused him. The ironic thing is, and I think it is not funny. It's not a funny situation, but I think it's hilarious. Is they come up 3.5 years in, and then they finally say, "Yeah, we've got a problem." No shit, Sherlock. It's taking you 3.5 years to acknowledge that. Um, somebody even said, you're a little too late on that. So he goes in, that administration goes in, and they make this rule. Well, if you've got over a certain amount, then you cut the whole thing off. What the hell is that doing? You're just delaying the inevitable. I think the number was 2,500. All right, well, you got 2,500 that's come in by noon. Okay, we're shutting it down. No more. Okay, well, we're going to camp out overnight. So we're going to be number one, number two, three, four, five, in the morning when you open the gates. I mean, I don't know what the hell they were. That's just fucking common sense right there. If I was them, that's what the hell I'd do. I'd be like, okay, I'll take a nap for 5-6 hours, get rested up. I'll see y'all in the morning, and I can be let in. That makes no damn sense to me. That's about the stupidest damn thing I have ever heard. But then you got people coming out saying, well, Biden did this and Biden did that. He's addressing the border issue. No, the hell he's not. He's not addressing it. He's just putting off the inevitable. We've been telling them for years, something's wrong with the man. I mean, no disrespect, but something's wrong with the man. Get him checked out. This dude's in charge of nuclear shit, and he can't even put a fucking sentence together. There's something wrong, and I don't like him, but I say that with the utmost respect to him. Shit happens when you get older. Believe me, I know. But if you're in a position like that, and I think if anything, you should be. You're already under a light, but I think you should have to forego a monthly physical, a monthly checkup. I think it should be public. No hiding shit, no HIPAA shit. This is the fucking president of the United States. We need to know or have confidence that, this guy can make a damn decision. I recently watched a video on the Sean Ryan show. He had I can't remember her name right now, a female on there, and she's like a reporter. She goes in and she does investigations. But she was talking about, I think we all know, about the football that's, within close proximity to the president at all times. And she was going through exactly what's in this bag. There's a black book. And it's been a while back since I watched it. But it was something to the effect that, they have these what ifs, if you will. Say this country right here fires, uh, two intercontinental missiles toward the U.S. and say they're coming to California. We'll say that scenario is, let's just say for shits and giggles, it's scenario A1. Well, then you open this black book and it's like, okay, let's look at A1. Okay, here's A1. Here are three options. The problem is that you only have a limited amount of time that you have to make a damn decision and then relay that decision to military personnel so they can turn a key and push a button. And I think it was like a minute and a half, 90 seconds. This man's got to be able to make a decision on what are, these are your three options. Let's say it's like she actually said, it's like, three or four options. Well, he's got to talk to his advisors. He's got to do all this shit within a minute and a half and say, okay, we're going with option 2. Pick up a red phone and then, call it in. The man can't do it. He can't do it. He cannot even complete a sentence. The man can walk on stage, do a speech, and when he's done with his speech, he turns around and he don't even know where the hell he come from. And again, I say that respectfully. He doesn't know where to exit. And like I said a minute ago, video don't lie. We've heard him giving talks, answering questions, and he starts mumbling, and then he'll say, "Oh well," or "Never mind," or a bunch of mumble jumble. You can't even damn understand him. It was one day he was doing a speech, and I was like, you know what? I know, and this is sad. It really is. I kind of felt bad for doing this, but I was like, he's going to fuck this up, but I'm going to turn on closed captioning. I turn on closed captioning, and this is no damn lie. It was a bunch of jumbled up letters on a couple of the words that he was saying. And I'm listening while I'm watching, while he's speaking. I couldn't understand what he was saying. So the closed captioning device or whatever couldn't understand what he was saying. So I'm like, holy hell. This is not video and audio manipulation. This is straight from the damn mic. I don't know. And then the debate was sad. It was sad. They should have never put him up there. They should have never put him in that position. And I'm taking up for him now. I think they had somebody in his administration knows what's going on, has known what was going on, and has allowed him to make a fool out of himself and others. You've heard people say that's elder abuse. I totally believe that. These people know, especially his wife. After the debate, she's got the mic in her hand saying, "Joe, you did so good. You answered every question." No, the fuck he didn't. I'm sorry. You've even got people on CNN and MSNBC right after the debate saying, "We're done. We're done. You cannot come back from this. I love the man. I respect for the man. I voted for the man. You cannot come back from this. What do we do? We're done." And these are people that have backed him for 3.5 years. So if they're saying this, if they're seeing this, it ain't us. It ain't the Republicans making up shit. This was on damn live TV. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But and I told y'all, I don't know where this podcast is going. Um, but now, you have Kamala Harris. I don't understand that process, how this has happened. People have tried explaining it to me. Um, I hear them, but it does not make sense. But okay, whatever. Where I'm going now, and people are going to say, "Oh my Lord, that's all you think about." It's not all I think about. But getting back to the purpose of this podcast, Second Amendment, we have been under attack for the whole Biden and Harris administration. The Second Amendment has been under attack the last 3.5 years. They have tried this, they have tried that. The ATF has tried this, the ATF has tried that. And it's taken a while, but it's not sticking. The Supreme Court has ruled ATF has overstepped their bounds on this. The Supreme Court has ruled ATF overstepped their bounds on that. The Supreme Court has ruled ATF, shouldn't have done this. It's unconstitutional. Every time you turn around now, here in the last few months, Supreme Court's ruling against the ATF and saying that's a violation of the Second Amendment rights. And you've got this false narrative, this false information that, the AR-15 is the most widely used in mass shootings, in mass killings. No, it's not. The FBI just released their annual active shooter report, and handguns are, I think, double-digit percentages above rifles. And this is, if you want to look at it this way, this is a Biden ATF agency, and they're saying this is, it's handguns, it's pistols, and you know what? You can argue different things when it comes to the Second Amendment. That's fine. We can argue. We can debate it. We can debate it till we're all blue in the face. I'm all for it. But if you're going to debate me on something, know what the fuck you're talking about. They've said that the AR-15 does this, and it does not. How many times have we heard people say the AR-15? Nobody should own a fully automatic weapon. It's not fucking fully automatic. It's semi-automatic. This is just a pet peeve of mine, but don't call it a damn clip. It's a magazine. Can't stand that. It gets under my skin. But anyway, you shouldn't be able to have more than a 10 round magazine for AR-15. Well, pistols, majority of the pistols, not all of them. I know about firearms. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying here. But the majority of pistols have magazine capacity over 10. You may have 10, you may have, 11, 12, 15, 17, 19. There's smaller handguns that have 8, 9, 7, whatever the case may be. But it's like, you know what? And it's talking about a 9mm, it'd blow your heart out. Oh my God. It ain't gonna blow your damn heart out. I mean, if you shoot somebody, you shoot to kill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not deadly. It is deadly. It can be deadly. My point is don't over exaggerate something you don't know what you're talking about. When Trump got shot, I was cringing. Because something just told me it was going to be an AR, and it was. My point is on this is while all mass shootings are horrific, they're terrible. You see news media and senators and congressmen, the president, the vice president, the director of AT. I mean, you see all these bigwigs come out within 12 hours of a school shooting or a mass shooting or something like that, where an AR is involved, and they get on their bandwagon. And I may be wrong on this, but I found it amusing that when Trump got shot, you didn't hear anything about the AR until days afterward. I don't know what they were waiting for. Now you're hearing it. I've watched the Secret Service hearing with what's her name, the former director. I watched the hearing the other day with the FBI guy, the acting director over Secret Service now. And what I thought was kind of, none of it's funny, don't get me wrong, but what I thought was funny is that when they were doing the interview with the female Secret Service director, the Democrats, they went on their AR rant. Even knowing that the firearm was purchased legally, with all intents and purposes, the kid had, there was nothing that kept him from being in possession of that rifle. Nothing. And, I heard several Democratic senators say, we have a problem if a 20-year-old can go buy enough ammunition to start an army and have access to an AR. This is where I go back to not being educated on what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, 5.56 or 223 ammo is either sold in a box of 20, and you can go up from there. Last time I checked, you can't start an army with 50 rounds of 5.56 or 223. I may be wrong, but you can't start an army with that. You know what? If anybody should have a say now about banning the AR-15, it should be Donald Trump. He is a victim of that rifle. So if anybody should have a say so, or at least an input, it should be him. I've not heard anybody ask him if he's thinking about banning them now. Have not heard the first person. I'm not saying it hadn't happened. I'm saying I have not heard that question. I don't know. I find a lot of things about that ironic. Kind of suspicious. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by no means, never have been. I do think that the Secret Service screwed up that day. That's been admitted. And I don't think that's just them saying, yeah, we screwed up, hoping it blows over. They did. They screwed up. And I've talked to a couple of people about this. One of the big questions, and it took them a little bit to get to it. People were saying, well, why weren't they able to communicate? So I know when President Bush came to Winston-Salem years ago, we had talked to the Secret Service before, and we was talking about radio communication. Can we have access or be on like a mutual aid channel? Was told absolutely not. That will not happen. So I've known there's been a direct line of communication issue, if you will, since then. Um, it's kind of like you have your command post, and if you have a police department, a sheriff's office, and of course the Secret Service, uh, everybody's involved. Then you have a command post, and you have at least one from each of those agencies in there. And if there's something the Secret Service needs to know that come over on the sheriff's office radio, you say, "Hey, one of our deputies just said you might want to let your guys know." Or if the Secret Service had info, he'd say, "Hey, we just got information from one of our snipers that you need to let one of your deputies know, or one of your police officers know, or whatever the case may be." Is word of mouth is what I'm getting at. Um, there's no keying up a radio saying, "Hey, sniper on the roof, check out the guy on the roof of the next building." There ain't none of that shit. I do see that changing now, but unfortunately, it took somebody getting shot and killed and some others injured before you see this happening. But that's been like that for a long time. Um, I've always been one um, to try to wait until the facts come out before I open my pie hole. Um, and I was actually going to do a video way before now, but it seems like every day something's coming out, something new's coming up. I was going to do one this morning, and I saw the video yesterday, but this morning I found out that the video that I saw yesterday that was new came from the older gentleman that got shot twice. Um, his name's slipping my mind right now, but anyway, he was actually taking video with his phone of Trump, focusing on Trump, and you can see crooks over on the building and run across the roof line. Um, the guy didn't know that he had recorded him. And I find that ironic. Out of all the people that were there, I find that ironic that he actually shot the video, and you can see the guy that ended up shooting him. And the fire chief and Trump. But anyway, but it was within days. People were focusing on this woman out in the crowd. I mean, she didn't stand up. She stayed sat down. Undercover FBI agent in the bleachers. Oh my God! I mean, y'all all know the damn shit that come out. It just chaps my ass when people start saying, "Well, I heard this and this happened, and do y'all know this happened?" And um, we've seen this with police shootings. Um, you know, wait till the damn facts come out. Um, I can't. I will go over and above and beyond if I read something and it just don't sound right or don't look right. I'll go and do my own damn research, and then 9.5 times out of 10, they're wrong, and I'll call them out on it. Quit, quit spreading false information. You're just getting people riled up. Um, so anyway, I don't know. And now, we got this Secret Service agent that's being a whistleblower saying that, it's going to happen again. If the Secret Service doesn't do something, it's going to happen again. I know this man has had his issues. I don't listen to him every day. I find him interesting to listen to, but I take what he says with a grain of salt, and I make my own decisions whether I want to believe it or not. And that's Alex Jones. But Alex Jones said, I think it was back in March or April, he said that there's going to be an assassination attempt on Trump and on Biden. I don't know. Hell, you don't ever know when something like that's going to happen. But Biden's not running. So anybody that really don't like him, I don't see them taking a chance now on getting caught, knowing that he's not going to run. But hell, who knows? There's a bunch of damn crazy, stupid ass people out there. I told y'all that, I didn't know where this was going to go. So if you think I'm rambling, I apologize. Just one thing's leading me to another. But my point in all that is this. So I'm a huge 2A advocate. We always say if. I know if is a big word. It's a big 2-letter word. But the way that I look at it, me, John, the way that I look at it, I'm not giving up my stuff. Most of my friends that own firearms, they ain't giving up their stuff either. And here's one thing, and I've mentioned this on the Night Court with Joe Lanou. If you never heard of him, you need to follow him on X. We've actually got a show tonight at 9:00. Actually, in about 20 minutes. I need to wrap this up. But anyway, go find him. It's Joe_Lanou's Night Court with Joe Lanou. We're talking about red flag laws in New Jersey tonight in a specific case involving one of our regulars. It's kind of screwed up how all that's played out. But anyway, I've told this short story. So I was at a gun range a couple years ago, and me and another gentleman, he was a black guy. He had just bought an AR-15. So I was waiting on a lane. He's waiting on a lane. So we ended up talking, and he voluntarily told me how much he just paid for his AR-15. And I look at him, and I mean, he had it in a case, but I look at him and I look at the case, and I look at him and I look at the case, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, not knowing what his party affiliation is, haven't talked to him about it, nothing. I said, well, what do you think about the Biden administration wanting to ban those? And he looked at me, he cocked his head sideways and looked at me, and he said, "Do what?" I said, "Yeah." I said, the Biden administration is trying to ban that rifle right there. And I had mine. It was in a hard case. I said, what you've got in that case right there that you just spent, $675 on, and what I've got in my case, he's wanting to ban, make them illegal. And he said, "The hell you say?" And I said, "Look it up." And we talked about some, ammo and stuff like that. But anyway, he's over there on his phone, and I look over, and he's tap, 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 tap. And he looked at me, and he said, "Damn, you wasn't lying." And I said, "No, I ain't lying." He said, "Well, pardon my language here." He said, "Well, I voted for that motherfucker." I said, "Well, that's what they're wanting to do." And I told him what I said a minute ago. I don't care who you vote for, but know who you're voting for. And he said, "Well, I voted for him because I'm a Democrat." And I said, "Well, you don't have to vote for him or vote for somebody because they're a Democrat." And he said, "But I voted for him for, he did have some things that I liked." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I said, if they get their way, what you've got in that case right there is going to be illegal." He said, "What am I supposed to do?" I said, "Well, if they pass a mandatory buyback," I said, "they'll buy it back, but they're not going to give you what you paid for it." And he said, "The hell?" And I said, "Well, you voted for him." Kind of snickered. I said, "You voted for him, not me." My point is that over, the last 4 or 5 years, especially during COVID, the firearm sales were astronomical. I think the percentage was like 300 and some 400% increase in firearm sales. Now, I don't know what the number of those were as far as like the AR and stuff like that. But the majority of the black population vote Democrat for whatever reason, and that's fine. All I will say is that there were a ton of firearms purchased in the last 4 years, and they were purchased by white, black, and Hispanic citizens of the United States. So if you are one of those that voted for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and you normally vote straight Democratic ticket, you don't care who it is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not being a hypocrite. I've done that before. I voted, if they had an R beside their name, I voted for them. Not saying it's wrong, not saying it's right. But if you are one of those, and I'm not saying this is the only reason to not vote for them, but know who you're voting for. That's why I said a while ago, write down on a piece of paper what means the most to you. And if you're okay with giving up your firearms that you saved and scrimped and whatever, and you use it for personal protection, or you got into it and now you like shooting and all that, if they get in, they're going to keep on, and they're going to keep on, and they're going to keep on. You really need to look at the person, and Kamala Harris has said that. Kamala Harris was named the border czar. Now the other week they said no, she was never assigned as the border czar. That's a damn lie. She said back in, I think, 2022, she was asked, when are you going to the border? Well, I'll go when time allows. Well, it's been 2.5 years. She still ain't gone. Her record and her quotes and sayings are coming out now. So you really need to look at both of them. That's all I'm going to say. Look at both of them, and if you're okay with what Harris has said in the past, or what she will do, then vote for her. If you're okay with it, vote for her. If you're not okay with it, don't vote for her. Again, I don't always agree with everything Donald Trump has done or said. I've cringed. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I don't agree with everything. I don't. But when I weigh it out, what matters to me, I am voting for Donald Trump. Plain and simple. We have already seen what the Biden-Harris administration has done over the last 4 years. And it was said today that Kamala Harris is kind of deviating from Joe Biden, as if she didn't have anything to do with some of the stuff that he's done. Yes, she has. Yes, she is responsible for it. Because you can't tell me the man, with the issues that he's had going on for at least the last 2.5 years, 2 years, has not consulted with his vice president saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You cannot tell me, and you cannot lie to yourself and say he did not talk to her about this. I will never believe that. So if you're okay with the way things are right now, the way things have gone, from the drug issue, the fentanyl issue, the border issue, the Second Amendment issue, the criminal reform issue, the whole 9 yards, look at where our country is today. And if you're okay with that, if you're okay with where we are today, vote for. But just be ready, because you're going to have 4 more years of the same stuff, and it's probably going to get even worse. I've always been the firm believer in second chances. Me personally, I think Donald Trump, he done a lot of good when he was in the first time. I think that I think he deserves another chance. Because for more or less, we've already seen what Harris has done 4 years. Does she get 8 years? I can't see it. So if nothing else, think about it. Like I said, write down a list, make your priorities, make your decision, and go vote. Uh, the worst thing you can do is not vote, I guess. I don't know. You know what you need to do. So anyway, again, I told you I was probably going to be rambling, didn't know where this was going, where it was going to end up, but I've taken up an hour and 5 minutes of your time. I greatly appreciate it. Again, I apologize for being vacant. I just had a lot of stuff going on. I always say I'm going to try to do better, and I haven't, so I'm not going to say that this time. But come join us on X here in about 15 minutes. Look up Joe _ LNU, Joe Lanu. It's Joe Lanu in the Night Court. Again, we're going to be talking about tonight New Jersey and red flag laws. I don't know that I'll have this up before tonight's show, but we usually try to do a show every night. I will get it up probably tomorrow morning. So every Friday night we have a police use of force thing on X where we review police use of force or police shootings. We have a panel. Joe is former law enforcement. I'm retired law enforcement. We have an active law enforcement lieutenant. We've got a couple of attorneys and then a couple of regulars, and we weigh in on police shootings, whether they were justified or not. It's always entertaining. It's fun. We have a lot of fun there. So that is tomorrow night, Friday night at 9 p.m. So when I get this video uploaded, which will be Friday, so come join us, and I will see y'all soon. Again, thank y'all for watching, listening. Give me some feedback on what you think, right or wrong. I got tough skin. You're not going to hurt my feelings. At the end of the day, we can all agree to disagree. It's the way I look at it. No death threats or anything like that. So anyway, y'all have a good, so I guess when I upload this, so y'all have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you Friday night.